Do you need some energy to get through the day without relying on coffee? I got just the thing for you. It's called Neuro, and I'm partnering up with them for today's video. Neuro has gum and mints to energize, calm, and focus when you need it. They were developed by former athletes who were training at the highest level and simply didn't want to take any mysterious supplements or energy drinks when studying, training, or even going out. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean and balanced energy that could be taken anytime and anywhere. Their energy and focus formula is specially formulated with natural caffeine, theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. Their calm and clarity formula is expertly developed with GABA, vitamin D3, and L-theanine to optimize composure and clarity of mind. Their health and vitality formula is specially infused with life-enhancing, immune-boosting vitamins to help strengthen and support your body. What makes Neuro different? Neuro's gone through dozens of formulations, process, and tests to ensure that each gum and mint they make delivers on their promise of getting you in the right state at the right time. Unlike other heat-extruded gum and mints, Neuro's products are created using cold compression technology, which maintains each ingredient's bioavailability. Neuro is a clean boost of energy without the jitters of coffee or an energy drink. With so many challenges and demands, it can be really hard to stay focused, and Neuro does a great job of keeping you calm, cool, and collected. Stress, fatigue, lack of focus can all impact decision-making abilities. Recently, I had been feeling sluggish and have been distracted with everything going on in my life. These Neuro mints, however, have allowed me to stay on task and have stayed calm, cool, collected, as well as alert, and I've been able to change my approach and focus on the task at hand. Go to my sponsor link now down below, tryneurogum.com/JKB to enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it. What is up, guys? Welcome back. JE Live here, and it's been a minute, but we are back, and we have some news. Man, we have some news. Allen Robinson, the wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams, as long as he passes a physical, will be traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the deal right now, we're getting some knowledge in from at Spotrack on Twitter. Allen Robinson holds 2 years, $25.75 million left on his contract, including $10 million in 2023, which is fully guaranteed, and $15.75 million in 2024, which isn't guaranteed. The Rams are taking on $16.45 million of dead cap in this trade, and they're only freeing up $1.6 million. So really, at the end of the day, this is not a cap dump, and that means that we could see a decent trade package, so to speak, for Allen Robinson. I'm not expecting something big, right? I'm not expecting something, ginormous, but I think for those of you that are wondering what this ends up being, I think this could be a legitimate fourth-round pick. I think it makes sense. This is somebody that, yes, he's coming off 2 years in which he hasn't been the best. I do think last year he unfairly kind of, if you think about it, he didn't really have as bad of a year as we look at, right? When he was healthy, he was getting open. He just wasn't getting the ball thrown to him, and I think a lot of it came down to the fact that Stafford got hurt and, didn't get a chance to really work with him in the offseason. So all of those crazy highlight catches you were seeing in the offseason, in training camp and so forth, that was with John Wolford or Bryce Perkins throwing the ball, not Matthew Stafford. And so I think that Allen Robinson, this could work out for both sides. Really, the thought is he didn't fit what the Rams were trying to do. Personally, I think that they didn't know what they were doing with him. Trying to use him like Robert Woods made no sense to me. They should have used him more as a deep ball guy, a guy that can go up and high point the football, very similar to how Calvin Johnson was used and Marvin Jones was used and Kenny Golladay was used with Matthew Stafford. But that is not how they used Allen Robinson. They asked him to play kind of a versatile wide receiver role that Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and even Van Jefferson play. I think he was played out of position, and I think, unfortunately, this is the end for Allen Robinson in LA. I think it should have gone better. It did not. So you move on, right? And the Rams are willing to accept that this is a defeat They are taking all of that money on. So the only reason that you would do that is because you really believe that you can get some compensation for him. And I'll tell you right now, if the Rams come away with a 4th round pick, if they end up getting a 4th rounder, they get another day 3 pick, they add their 12th pick to this draft class, I think they're in really good shape. Now, here's one thing I will say about this. I am not convinced it's just a 4th rounder. As a matter of fact, I could see this being a pick swap, and I would not be surprised, and hear me out here, it might not be a great thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 7th round pick and the Rams switch 2nd round picks with the Steelers. They move from 37th to 31st. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what, or 32nd. Wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. Would not. So the thing is, he did have a small fracture in his foot in December that he had to have repaired. And that is the reason for the physical, right? That's the reason for those terms. Okay, pending physical. That's what that means. But when you look at it, let's look at the Steelers, the Steelers picks in 2023 right now. This is what they have to offer. Okay. And this, hopefully you're not making a trade like this 9 days before the draft to just get a pick way down the line. Hopefully this is going to be a pick this year that can help you out. The Steelers have the 17th overall. That's not happening. The 32nd overall from Chicago via the trade. They traded away the wide receiver / tight end from Notre Dame, whose name is totally escaping me, Chase Claypool. There we go. And then they have the 49th pick. So they also have a 3rd, they have a 4th, and they have 2 7ths. They don't have a 6th, and they don't have a 5th. So I look at this, they're either going to get 2 7ths, or they could have a 7th, and maybe they pick swap. They move up 5 spots in the 2nd round. Could even see them, maybe they swap 2nd rounders, 49th. So like the Steelers move up to 37th, and the Rams get a 3rd in return, something like that. Or they get the 4th pick, the 4th round pick. Either way, this is going to be very fascinating because the Steelers do not have a 5th or a 6th round pick. And the Rams wouldn't have just off and traded him away, having $16 million that they have to eat if it wasn't to acquire more compensation. Because you could arguably say that if the Rams didn't take on so much money, right, and it wasn't only $1.6 million they were saving, they very easily could have taken on less money, told the Steelers to take on more and not have as much of a compensation. So I think this is a compensation more than it is a salary dump. As a matter of fact, it's not a salary dump at all. It can't be a salary dump. They're not dumping any salary. Next year's not even guaranteed. Think about that. It's not even guaranteed. So, that's my thing. When you look at next year, they have 0 dead money. And Allen Robinson, it's not like they're getting him off the books and now, now they don't have to. No. Next year's contract for Allen Robinson, next year on the contract, 2024, is not guaranteed at all. So they don't have to make this deal. Theoretically, if they're only saving $1.6 million, it could very well they just could have kept him, right? They absolutely could have kept him on the roster. They're already paying the money. Now, let me make this very clear to you guys, because I don't think people realize this is the very simple term to use it in case you get all weirded out by dead money. Dead money or cap penalty. Do you know what that is? It's very simple. And this is what my father said the other day. I thought it was a perfect way to explain it to somebody who doesn't know. Dead money is money you are paying to somebody that isn't on the roster. Full stop. You're paying money to somebody who is not actively on the roster. So Allen Robinson's getting the same money he would have gotten had he stayed with the Rams. And I think, at least to me, I think this is for a compensation piece. I'm not saying, you go crazy. It's a 2nd rounder. This is an Allen Robinson, at 26. He's turning 30, coming off a foot injury, had 2 back-to-back underwhelming seasons. This could be bad. It could be a 7th. I mean, the Rams have definitely, done that before, but it's going to be fascinating to see what they get out of this, because I'll tell you right now, if they get a fourth rounder, the Rams absolutely made do with this, and they had this is a great deal. I think this could work out for the Steelers. For those of you that are in here that are Steelers fans, I think this could work out for the Steelers. I think he fits what the Steelers want to do. I think he can help, groom George Pickens a little bit. I think he gives Kenny Pickett, who needed a veteran receiver, I think he gives him, an extra boost. That veteran leadership, I think, is certainly there with Allen Robinson, the guy that can go up and high point the football. So I think it works out for the Steelers. They were looking for a veteran receiver, and Allen Robinson, if he, passes the physical, he's going to be that. In my mind anyway. I think, sorry, this is annoying the shit out of me. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, this works out for both sides. We'll see what ends up happening with the Rams. We'll see what they end up getting. If they get a good player, or they get a good pick, they can get a good player. This really works out for the Rams. They get a 7th rounder. I would have rather just kept him, but I guess the point that the Rams would be making is that he doesn't fit what they're trying to do. And while I disagree and believe that they don't fit what what he brings to the table, they can't really figure that out when it seems very obvious what you do with somebody like Allen Robinson. That it doesn't matter. It didn't work. Doesn't fit. They couldn't make it work. So not having a 5th or a 6th means, I think, the Steelers are either going to trade that 4th. They could get creative with the pick swap, or it'll be, 2 7ths or 1 7th, or it'll be a next year's. But to me, 9 days before the draft, you do not make this trade. Okay. You do not try to get this trade done before the draft if you're not getting compensation in 2023. So we'll see. But I mean, I do not want to see the Rams blow this. And that is what I'm a little concerned with, is that, in the past, do we really give them the benefit of the doubt? They got a 3rd rounder and they got a 7th rounder basically in Hunter Long, because depreciation would make him a 7th rounder. But I don't know, man. I'm very concerned about that. I will say, in that regard. So, at the end of the day, does it make sense? I think when you look at Calvin Austin on the roster, you look at George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, he adds to that receiver room. Calvin Austin is a guy I'm very high on. We'll see what ends up happening with him, but I'm very high on Calvin Austin and that long speed over the top. But if Austin doesn't become anything, obviously you're not trading for Allen Robinson to be a bench player, then I think you're looking at a really good wide receiver room. Allen Robinson, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens. That's a really good three tandem there, So that's my opinion. I mean, there are going to be people that disagree with me. There are going to be people that say this guy fell off, he's not coming back, all of that. I'm monitoring Twitter to see if, there's anything that comes up while we're talking. I mean, I'd love to have some compensation to give you if possible. But yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen here. It's going to be very interesting. Mind you, last year, Allen Robinson almost agreed to sign with the Eagles. He signs with the Rams, and then A.J. Brown is traded to Philly, and they end up going to the Super Bowl. So kind of interesting. To say it helps the Rams, I don't really know. I think addition by subtraction is certainly in play here. Not that I think Allen Robinson is a bad receiver, but I think them figuring that he doesn't fit their system, that's something in itself. Jason, thank you so much for the 5. Appreciate you. Let's see here. 1 second. Gotta get those comments up. I like highlighting the comments because I like making you guys feel like you're part of the show, because you are. But sometimes I don't think ahead of time, and well, I never think ahead of time. Kareem, it could be a 7th, it could be a 4th, it could be a pick swap. I'm not really sure at this moment. That's a really good question though. Like I'm not really sure where we're going with that. They don't have a 6th rounder. So if it's a 6th rounder next year, I will say I would be pretty upset if they don't get a pick this year. Like I would prefer a 4th, but I'll temper my expectations at a 7th round pick. Actually, I won't even do that because they took on $16 million. Yeah, honestly, I would need 2 7s to be okay with this, at the very least. So that's where I'm at on that. If they don't get a pick in 2024, or if they don't get a pick till 2024, I'm gonna have an issue with that because they took on $16 million. They're only saving $1.6 million. To me, that would be a problem. I would need some decent compensation in return. So I don't know. That's just me. But we'll see what happens. I'm not sold on the Rams. Getting good value in return. They just simply haven't done that. So LA Rams, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. You love this? Yeah. I like this. I like the idea of getting Allen Robinson involved and using him the right way. The Rams were simply never going to do that. So at this point, Steelers paying, no, they're not paying $10 million. The Rams are only getting $1.6 million. According to Spotrac, they're only saving $1.6 million, meaning they literally are paying almost the entire contract. The Steelers are paying like $1 million or something. It is very, very light, and then they would pay him next year, depending. Someone just asked. I'm going to be putting out a graphic in a little bit. Obviously not now. I'm live. I cannot find it. What's up, Isaac? Where is it? Okay, there it is. The draft show. So in case you guys don't know, this is a little promo that I'm cutting right now. Alexis Kraft and I, who is my co-host of the Downtown Rams podcast, we are going to have a Downtown Rams live stream. So we have it every year in case you guys are new here. This will be our 4th straight year doing it. So we're going to be doing on day 1, day 2, day 3. You guys are more than welcome to hang out with us. It's a lot of fun. We always enjoy it. We've had some incredible viewership over the last few years, and it just continues to grow every year. So very excited to see where that goes this year. Just be sure to keep it here. We cover all the picks. We're going to have, obviously we're going to have some Rams-centric content for sure, where, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Rams picks, but, we cover all the picks. And so if you're looking for something to watch, you can find us on your TV. I know now everyone has the YouTube app. You can literally watch us on your TV, watch us on your phone, your computer. Just check it out. We'll be streaming 27th, 28th, and 29th. And, we spent a lot of time, learning about the draft and scouting these players. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch it all come to fruition, see who goes where they go. So just a little promo there if anybody's interested. But yeah. Hey, Jacob, no worries at all. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot, and I'm glad that, you enjoy the content and never feel like you have to donate. It really does help out the channel if you can. It does support me, but also a subscribe supports me, a view supports me, a like supports me. So I appreciate all of you. I mean, for real, it's really cool to see how much we've grown. I looked at last year. In case you guys didn't know this, I had 12,000 fewer subscribers at this point last year, and the Rams had just won the Super Bowl. So just keep that in mind. We are growing. There's some serious exponential growth on the way. So I'm very excited about that. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. I thought we had something coming in. Anyway, that was nothing. Okay. On the return, we don't know yet. That has not been announced. Monty, I thank you for the 5. I just can't believe we started this rebuilding stage with Aaron Donald still in his prime. Should have made one more push for Super Bowl run. I would imagine they're probably looking for next year as that Super Bowl run. But I hear you, though, for sure. So I haven't really gotten too much in the wide receivers. I will definitely start that today. I think really right now, the one receiver that I really like, that I've liked for a while, is Tennessee wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. I think he gives you speed off the top. I think he's somebody that can win off the line of scrimmage. He's just really quick, can make plays after the catch. So, yeah, I think Jalen Hyatt would be the guy, there. Yeah, oh God. If she orders that pizza again. So also just wanted to throw something out there. What was it? Oh, yesterday, in case you guys follow the channel and you just didn't see it or, whatever. Cameron Lynch, who is my co-host for the Believe in Rams podcast, who may or may not show up for the live stream. He is invited, and if he can make it, he will. Obviously, busy guy. But Cameron Lynch and I host the Believe in Rams podcast, and now we host Off the Edge on Believe, the NFL show, the daily NFL show of Believe Network. So we're really excited about that. Be sure to check that out after this. If you haven't already, we already posted episode 1. Episode 2 will be out later. We did already record it, so Allen Robinson dialogue will not be in there. But then Wednesday we will talk about Allen Robinson and so forth. So talked about a lot of stuff. Jalen Hurts, what his contract means, moving forward. The idea of the Bengals getting Bijan Robinson, just all sorts of stuff. Saquon Barkley, whether or not he'll get traded by the Giants, just, all sorts of topics. Is the new Josh Harris ownership group, is that going to take over in a way where Washington will get back to the Super Bowl anytime soon? Just all sorts of, really fun topics that we discussed all about the NFL. So if you guys are interested in an NFL-centric show that airs daily, which will soon be on a ton of platforms. Right now, it's just on our YouTube, Believe's YouTube, the Page's YouTube, Off the Edge, and Cameron Lynch's YouTube. But it's also on Local Now. If you have a Local Now app, you can go on Local Now. We're on the Believe Football channel, and it airs every 2 p.m. every day, 2 p.m. Eastern time every day. So in 6 minutes, you can check out our show. It airs 2 p.m., 8 a.m., and 11 p.m. every day. So that was a lot. I just don't see it. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to the Rams. I don't think they're going to be that bad. As a matter of fact, I think they make the playoffs. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they'll make the playoffs. He won't be available, so no. And I honestly think, I've seen a lot of people hey, should we go after a running back with 37th overall? No, because the Rams have pressing needs right now. They have other pressing needs, all over the place. I mean, they don't even have another quarterback on the roster aside from Stafford. You look at wide receiver right now, they're getting rid of Allen Robinson. So now the wide receiver room has a little bit of a deficiency there. You have 2 guys out of 3 on the tight end room that are contract years. You have the offensive line, which I don't really have to get too much in the offensive line, but you guys know what I mean. Then you have the edge defenders, who you only have 3 edge defenders on the roster. You let Leonard Floyd go, so you already needed an edge defender before Leonard Floyd went. Now you need two. Then you have inside linebacker, which is very thin. After Ernest Jones, it's Christian Roseboom and Jake Hummel, and so very thin there. And then you have cornerback, who as of right now, Darian Kendrick would be your number 2 cornerback. And if you're fine with that, I mean, all the power to you, I guess, but I'm not. And then, safety. Jordan Fuller's always hurt. And you got, Quentin Lake and Russ East, who, I like them both, but they don't have a lot of experience starting. So you definitely can argue they have a lot of needs. Like, the biggest needs probably are edge and corner. After that, interior offensive line. After that, wide receiver, maybe. I think it's something like that. I got to tell you, I don't get the Ringo hype. I don't think he's a bad player by any stretch, but he's a crazy athlete as far as how fast he can run everything. But he's stiff, man. He's stiff in coverage. When you watch the tape, not highlights, but when you watch tape of Ringo, he's not as good as I expected. Ringo is a guy that I think a lot of people like because he went to Georgia, and Georgia's, the mecca of college football right now. And so, you talk about Ringo playing at Georgia. You talk about him being a first-round pick all year, right? Just constantly in mock drafts. He's going to go. He's one of the top corners. When I watch the tape, I see a guy that's stiff. He doesn't move with fluidity. I'm not the biggest fan of his. I think there are better corners there. I think you look at Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. He's my guy. Like, that's the guy that I would be all for. I think the problem with athleticism is that if you don't have fluid hips, you have stiff hips, you have a hard time being sticky in coverage. When you have a hard time being sticky in coverage, when you have a whole, bevy of receivers all over the place, like a Justin Jefferson that can make you pay, like a Jamar Chase that can make you pay, or a Cooper Kupp, or, Tyreek Hill, then you're going to struggle in the NFL. And at one of the most difficult spots, probably the most difficult spot to play as a rookie, you do not want to be in a position where you're at the mercy of a Justin Jefferson off the line of scrimmage and your stiff hips can't work, right? So I don't think Ringo's bad, but I would be upset if they picked him 37th overall. I think when you look at the pass rushers based on like what I've seen, I'll say this right now. Nolan Smith won't be available, guys. I hate to break it to you. Nolan Smith will not be available. Yeah, I mean, he is way too much of an athlete, way too good against the run. He's not going to be available. Plus, he went to Georgia. It's not like he went to a D2 school. Like, he's not flying under the radar. He will not fall to the second round. He will go in the first. That's the first thing. Second, Will McDonald, okay? I've talked about him so many times, was forced to play in the trenches, really out of position at Iowa State. He's a guy that I think will fall in the second round because his tape's good, but he would have been absolutely dominant if they used him as a wide 9 rusher. Then you look at Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who I have these thoughts that he'll go at pick 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs. But if not, he's there. Cornerbacks, Emmanuel Forbes, right? DJ Turner out of Michigan. Don't scout the helmet. I keep seeing people saying I don't want DJ Turner because I think of David Long Jr. Different players, completely different players. So do not scout the helmet. There's more to it than that. Just like every USC receiver used to be a bust, and then all of a sudden you have Amon-Ra St. Brown here, and you have the guy that came out last year whose name is totally escaping me on the Atlanta Falcons, and you got Robert Woods, like all these USC receivers that are doing something in the league. But for the longest time, because of guys like Dwayne Jarrett, you had people saying that, oh, well, USC wide receivers are busts. So, thank you, Alexis. So yeah. Well, so BJ Ojulari, here's the thing with BJ Ojulari, right? He's a technician, very skilled, has a toolbox as a pass rusher, right? Way beyond his years at 20 years old. However, his motor runs straight up cold in the run game. I need to see more effort from the guy. Like when I'm watching him stop the run, there's this one play against Mississippi State. The running back is going to the left side, and you have one of the corners or safeties comes up in run support, and he kind of seals the edge off, and then all Ojulari has to do is basically stick an arm out and trip the guy up or slow him down, and he just doesn't even really try. The guy runs right through the hole that he was supposed to fill, and then boom, touchdown, houses one. I see too much of that. I see too much of, I don't know. Like, Ojulari will be a very good pass rusher in the NFL because he's way beyond his years, technically sound. But when you look at a guy as far as, stopping the run, I need more. Like Isaiah McGuire out of Mizzou is somebody you should be looking at more than Ojulari. Here's why. Isaiah McGuire can win with speed. He can win with power. Isaiah McGuire's fast, but he's also quick off the edge. And he tested incredibly well at his pro day, but he makes it known he's probably the best block deconstructor of all the edge defenders in this class. And he makes it known. His presence is felt. He is an emotional leader, a captain, a guy that Mizzou, rallies around. And this guy makes it his job that he's going to stop the run. So that's somebody that I would want. Like if you're looking at guys that make sense for the Rams, in my opinion, like Isaiah McGuire in the 3rd round, sign me up. I think if I had it my way right now, and I have not turned in my full, because I'm only doing 1 mock draft for the Rams this year. I'm not doing 4, 5, 6, 7. No. I'm doing 1. That's why I'm taking so long, because I want to be the best damn thing possible for you guys. So I like Emmanuel Forbes at pick 37. I like Will McDonald at pick 37. I like DJ Turner at pick 69. I like Isaiah McGuire at pick 69. And I kind of like the idea of getting a receiver, although I need to watch more receivers. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I only know I like Jalen Hyatt, and I watch Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I think is really good, but I don't think he's going to be there. So, Michael Pittman Jr. next year. What do you mean by that? Like free agent? Yeah, I don't know. I don't. The Rams don't want him, so I don't think he's. Because here's the thing: Saffold failed his physical, but he was a free agent, so he didn't have to return to the Rams. The Rams signed him again. That's the thing. But I will say one way that you could probably piss me off, and I like Tank Dell out of Houston. I think he's explosive. I think he has a little bit more than Tutu Atwell in some areas and a little bit less than Tutu in other areas. But you do not draft Tank Dell when you have Tutu Atwell. Okay? You don't do it. Like, I would have an issue with that. Straight up. Full stop. I'd have an issue with that. I think when you look at the receivers in this class, and again, I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't gone through all the receivers in the way that I want to. But like, for instance, here's a cool little thing that I noticed. So on NFL.com, the draft section, they have these scores, these next gen stats scores that are supposed to like combine their athleticism, combine their production, and try to predict who is going to be the best at the next level. And the number 1 receiver, according to Next Gen Stats NFL, is Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. And that's the guy that I would probably prefer. Then you have Josh Downs from UNC. You have Rashee Rice. You have Tank Dell as the 4th guy. Jordan Addison is the 5th. Zay Flowers 6th. A.T. Perry 7th. Marvin Mims Jr. 8th. Jackson Smith and Jigba 9, and Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati 10th. That's what you have. I don't know what Jake Bobo is going to do. He's actually 3rd to last. He's the 48th overall in the Next Gen Stats. So I'm not saying Next Gen Stats is everything. I just thought it was fascinating. It was a cool thing to look at. But no, when I look at the receivers right now, like Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers intrigues me a little bit. Cedric, I like both Tennessee receivers. Can I just say that? Cedric Tillman also. I think they're both good. I like Rakim Jarrett from Maryland. I got to watch more Tyler Scott, but I do like him. Kayshon Boutte, I do not really like where like he's getting mocked. I don't think it makes sense. That's not the type of, receiver the Rams really need right now. I like Puka Nacua out of BYU. Charlie Jones out of Purdue I thought was pretty solid when I was watching Aiden O'Connell's tape. Charlie Jones just kept making plays, just constantly. So that's that. A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. Andre Iasovis from Princeton. Dontavion Wicks from Virginia. I mean, there are definitely some guys here. Rashee Rice from SMU. I'm curious to see where they go, what kind of size archetype they're looking for. If they go short, Tutu Atwell type receiver, then it'll probably end up being, Nathaniel Dell. But I don't know. I don't think they're trading up for Bijan, and that would be a colossal mistake. Here's the problem with Bijan, right? You go out, you get Bijan. Well, why? Okay, because Cam Akers just had a great end to the season. Now, you could say, it was against, easy competition and so forth, but you can't just rule out Cam Akers. The guy played well at the end of the year, and I was his biggest critic, and I'm giving him props. It's not me flip-flopping. I'm just saying you can't just give up on him like that. If the Rams go out and get a running back in the second round or they trade up in the first, they do not value picks where they should. And the fan base should have a problem with that. If they trade up for Bijan Robinson in the first round, they have made a colossal mistake because they have too many needs. They have the fewest players on a roster in the league right now. They are going to OTAs and don't even have a kicker, punter, long snapper. They have one quarterback on their roster. They have 3 edge defenders. Darion Kendrick is their cornerback. I would be literally furious if they picked a running back with their first pick when they have all those needs. And I think anybody should be, because at the end of the day, if they draft a running back, a position that is predominantly known for having a wall into your prime, because the running back wall is considered 30. The average prime is 26 to 32. You could even say 25 to 32, right? That's the average prime. Maybe even 27. So 27 to 32. So in the middle of your prime for a running back, you're hitting a wall at 30. And you could say what you will. Well, Jake, this guy, Adrian Peterson. Yeah, outliers. Look at the running back position. Look at it. Ezekiel Elliott is not even 30 yet, and look at him. He doesn't have the same explosiveness. He's not the same. You cannot justify drafting a running back when you had one of the most explosive and dominant running backs in the last 5 games of the season. Cam Akers looked as good as any other running back in the league the last 5 games of the season. Those are pure facts. Top 3 in just about every statistical category for a running back. The last 5 games of the season. Now, is that everything? No. But you also drafted Kyron Williams. So, I think you draft another guy. I think personally, I would go with a Deuce Vaughn or a Keaton Mitchell. I would not be looking at a bell cow. It doesn't make any sense. It would be a total misuse of draft capital. At that point, I would have rather had you trade for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I would not be happy. Would not be happy at all. I think you got to get edge, because at the end of the day, I understand if you want to, we'll score a lot of points. The defense gives up 40, we'll score 41. I understand that mentality, but it's not realistic. Okay? It's just not. You still need guys to you still need guys to field a roster. You still don't have certain pieces on a roster. I mean, I think they need to do more. And, we can say what we will about the defense. I think it's absolutely unfair to assume that Raheem Morris can get the most and put them into a top 10 category or top 15 category of this defense when they're as thin as they are. It's not even about the players. That's the thing that kind of gets, signals get crossed in that regard. When you start talking about the defense and how they have needs, everyone just assumes you think the defense is trash. I don't think that, okay? I think they have some guys on the defensive line. You have Aaron Donald. You have Marquise Copeland, right? You got Jonah Williams. Those are guys that I do like. I mean, for real. Bobby Brown playing the way he was playing at the end of the year, I like those guys. I like Daniel Hardy long term. I don't know if he's ready to start yet. I like Keir Thomas long term. I don't know if he's a starter. I think he's more of a depth piece. I like Michael Hoyt a lot, but he needs to do that again. And when he drops weight, we'll see how he plays with that. Not everybody can play. It's not as simple as I lost weight and now I'm good. You know, sometimes you can't play at certain weights. But I like what they have. I like Ernest Jones a lot. I like that he's going to be the leader of the defense. I love Jacoby Durant at corner. I think he's going to have a great season. I like the safeties. But you talk about Ernest Jones getting hurt, and now Christian Roseboom is your starting inside linebacker, right? If Aaron Donald goes down, you don't have that premier pass rusher. You don't have a pass rush at that point. And you don't have a Jalen Ramsey in the back end or a Bobby Wagner in the middle to contain that. So, look, I don't think the defense is trash. I think the defense lacks depth. You know? And I think at the end, no, Shavonte, I know you were kidding, but there are a lot of people that still, like, to this day, they're like, Bijan. And I'm like, no. That would be misusage of draft picks. I hope to God they don't do that. They're not going to do that. They're not. He won't even be there. But again, that's my point. And look, in the effort of being as transparent as possible, I have a Rams board based on all the positions that I've scouted so far. Guess who's number one on my Rams board of, you know, guys that could potentially be there? Bijan Robinson. I'm the best player available guy. So normally I'd be all for this. But best player available needs to make sense. If you have Patrick Mahomes and the best player on your board is a quarterback, like a starting franchise quarterback, let's say the Chiefs had the number one overall pick. If the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, they're probably trading down. But if they don't trade down and they pick anybody other than a pass rusher, that's insane. It doesn't matter if they have a higher grade on Bryce Young. Best player available doesn't just mean best player no matter what. You have to be somewhat smart with that. If you have a franchise quarterback, the best quarterback in the league, you're not picking Bryce Young. I'm not saying Cam Akers is the best running back in the league, but if you have a guy playing the way he did at the end of the year and you believe in him, and having him talk yesterday at the podium would show me that they believe in him. The guys that talked yesterday are the guys to keep an eye on. Cam Akers, Ernest Jones, Stafford, Kupp. The Rams are telling you without telling you who their guys are. Cam Akers might not be a long-term guy, but he's the guy this year because he wouldn't be at the podium if he wasn't. They would have already made this decision in their mind. They would have already been like, you know what? We're going after Bijan Robinson. And I see all the time, well, Jake, Cam was almost traded. Okay, things patch up. I mean, I don't think it's going to work with Allen Robinson. Like, I think he's done. I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to pass his physical. I think he'll be the Steelers' new wide receiver. But they patched it up. So that's how I feel about that. Jahmyr Gibbs is another running back I really love. I have him as 6th on the Rams board. Tajay Spears is 7th. Mind you, I've only watched centers all the way through. I've scouted centers, running backs, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, and that's it. So I have a lot to do. That's why I haven't really been live that much. So yeah, my top 5 right now of guys that might be there. Bijan Robinson 1, Emmanuel Forbes 2, Will McDonald the 4th 3, Nolan Smith 4. He won't be there. I should probably just take him off the board, but Nolan Smith 4, Felix Anudike-Uzomah 5. After that, Jahmyr Gibbs 6, Tajay Spears 7, Joe Tippmann, the center out of Wisconsin 8th, Ricky Stromberg, the center out of Arkansas 9th, and DJ Turner 10th. That's my top 10. If you guys are looking for a center, boy, look at Ricky Stromberg. That's the guy I want. If they could find a way, if Ricky Stromberg falls to the 5th round, or if they trade away Allen Robinson, get a 4th rounder, and they get Stromberg in the 4th, sign me up all day at Arkansas. I know people want Tippmann. He went to Wisconsin. He's my number 1 center in the class. But Tippmann is probably going to be picked in the 2nd round. Probably isn't an option. So if Stromberg is there in the 4th round and the Rams get a 4th round pick for Allen Robinson, oh man, will I be happy. Am I assuming anything at this point? No. I've seen the Rams not know how to trade stars. So Allen Robinson, who is literally on the back end right now, has played 2 down years with a foot injury. I'm not expecting them to get I just won't like the return probably, but I'm not expecting much. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, one of those guys. I think Will McDonald. I think they're equally. I've kind of changed my tune a little bit. Because I had not watched Forbes yet, and I think Forbes is unbelievable. So, at the end of the day, I mean, I think that you can't go wrong with either. And if you're looking at a draft class where you go out, you get Will McDonald, right, and then at 69th overall, you land DJ Turner. I mean, that's a good start to your draft. If you go with Emmanuel Forbes, and then let's say the next pick you get like, probably not Felix Anudike-Uzomah, but like, Isaiah McGuire at pick 69, you're off to a good start in this draft. And so that's kind of where I stand on that. Here's some 2 corners that you need to know. 2 cornerbacks. I'll have 1 minute scouting report videos on soon. As soon as I get done with this, I got some stuff to do. But 2 cornerbacks that you need to know, and you probably already know one of them. First off, actually 3. Garrett Williams out of Syracuse. This guy, he's not the most explosive athlete, right? He's coming off an injury. But Garrett Williams is my 6th corner in this draft. I think he's an absolute stud. And I think he's somebody that, quite honestly, just does everything well. And I want him on my football team. In general, Garrett Williams. Number 2, Mekhi Blackmon from USC. Blackmon is not getting enough love. I don't know what it is. Mekhi Blackmon is not getting enough love. He's a future starter at the next level. I don't know why he's flying under the radar. He played 4 years at Colorado. He transfers to USC, like the big USC school, and he's not getting the love he deserves. Really good athlete, fluid hips, instinctual, true disruptor in press coverage. And I really like him against the run. So, first off, I said Garrett Williams, and then now I'm saying Mekhi Blackmon. And then the other one I would say here is probably a guy that you might not even know about. And that, in my mind, I'll tell you right now, Terrell Smith out of Minnesota is going to be a stud. And he is going to be a steal at the next level. I think you could get Terrell Smith maybe in the 5th round. And I think he's going to be really good. Smith is just somebody that when I was watching the tape, I just found myself really, really liking what I was watching. He's not a guy that's getting a lot of buzz, very much a sleeper. So you guys probably haven't heard him. If you have, then you already know. Great size, great speed. You talk about that 6 foot, 205 pound corner that can run a 4.4. Great stuff there. He's a twitchy corner, right? But, he's got great spatial awareness. And the thing about him is he does a great job of using the sideline to his advantage. Too many cornerbacks don't use the sideline as like an extra little bit of an advantage. You got to somewhat kind of steer the wide receiver out of bounds. You run out of room It's almost like a manipulation, like, oh, I don't even have that much room to even catch this ball at this point. Puts him in a bad situation, right? He's got decent ball skills, had 4 interceptions in college. I think at the end of the day, good run defender. What I want in a cornerback, if I'm the Rams, if I'm picking a corner early or just at all, I want guys, I don't even care about the size necessarily. That is a plus. I'm not going to lie. Having a 6'1", 200-pound corner that moves like Ramsey, that's a plus. But what I would say is that if you're looking for anything in a corner, you want guys that can, if you're playing man coverage, you want guys that can mirror. You want guys that can be physical. You want guys that can play the run in run support, that can actually make tackles, be a wrap tackler, not an ankle biter. You want corners with ball skills. You want corners that are sticky in coverage. You want guys that can attach to the hip pocket. You want guys that have the recovery speed. Like, hey, I got burned. What's my next line of defense? Boom, there you go. Just fight or flight. You're flying, man. You're flying. So that's what I'm looking for. When I look at corners, I want to know that this guy has it in coverage. I want to know this guy has it in the run game. If you're not playing the run, I have to assume that, if you haven't learned how to play the run, if you're making these career decisions and sidestepping tackles, I have to assume you're not really into it like you should be. I have to assume you don't have like the heart that a football player should have. And that's the thing. I mean, football players are warriors, man. I don't want a corner that's going to sidestep a tackle. That's still your job, bro. Just like when you're watching, basketball and you're like, oh, this guy shoots 50% from 3, something crazy. Then he goes to the freaking free throw line and he's shooting 60% from free throws. I'm like, what is happening? They're giving you free buckets, undefended. So you're not defended at all. You're shooting your shot. That's part of your job. It's not like, oh, I'm a bad free throw shooter. Get better. Work on it. This is your job. There's no reason why you can't be a good free throw shooter. There's no reason why you can't defend the run. The biggest concern I see with a corner is when they're built like Jalen Ramsey, and, the whole look like Tarzan, play like Jane. Yeah, I've seen that. Like, I don't understand. And this is something else, right? We talked about this. I don't understand how, if you're a corner in college and you see Jalen Ramsey getting traded away for a third and Hunter Long, who does everything well. He's the best corner in the league and he does everything well. I don't understand how you don't immediately look and say, oh crap, corners are getting somewhat devalued. And now a guy who does everything well just got devalued. And I don't even play the run. How are you not looking at that and saying, I need to be better for the sake of my career, my job? That's a serious thing, man. There are corners that don't want to play the run anymore. I saw it. That's true. Keely Ringo is very good in zone. Not a man-to-man guy. The Rams did play man-to-man occasionally. They kind of throw it in there. It's not their scheme, so to speak. It's not their system. And he is more of a wrap tackler. My problem, though, is what's going to happen when he's asked to move in a short area. Because those stiff hips are really going to hurt him. I'll read you my scouting report on Keely Ringo. The physical tools are crazy. Ringo is built to, he looks like a linebacker on the outside. He really does. Elite speed, but he lacks anticipation, plays a tad behind other corners. He does. He's stiffer than I expected. His motor seems to be a tad inconsistent. Does not change direction well from an agility standpoint. A guy who was once considered a favorite to be the first cornerback taken off the board hasn't developed a ton. So that's my thing. He hasn't gotten much better over the years. I think he might need a position change to safety. He has great tackling range, doesn't get burned much, and has the ball skills to turn into a ball hawk at the next level. Has a perfect blend of size and speed, average to above average in run support. Keely Ringo is a very rare type of prospect who could be a better player at the next level due to his upside in zone coverage and a potential position switch to safety. So I kept saying position switch to safety, zone coverage, inconsistencies, stiff, Those are what I think of when you think of Ringo. Like, Ringo is still a good prospect, and I don't want to, make it seem like he isn't a good prospect, but I am not sold on him being like, I don't know if he's a second rounder, early second rounder. I think he's probably a late second rounder. Excuse me. Maybe you get him in the third, something like that. But Oh, Ramsey was absolutely devalued. I mean, the whole did right by him, because I see that a lot. Ramsey was devalued. Let's not turn this into something it's not. The Rams basically said, we don't want to pay you $18 million, and moved on from him. And they did right by him by taking less and hurting the team. So, look, I'll say this right now. The cornerback position right now, with the way teams are playing it, it is devaluing corners. Like, the big name corners are not getting as much love anymore. The guys that are getting paid, they're not getting paid by great teams. So we'll see what ends up happening, but they absolutely devalued Ramsey, 100%. Ade Adebawar, good at 36. What is your analysis? Haven't seen much about. Are they picking 36 or 37? Why do I keep saying 37? It's probably 36, right? Rams, second round pick. They pick. Oh, dear God. Rams draft picks. 36. Okay, I have no idea. I think I saw an article that said 37, and it's totally ruined me. I just keep saying 37, 37, 37. 36. Baldwin Wallace. Interesting. Is that the D2 guy? I've been hearing about him, I think, as well. It doesn't affect the cap at all. Basically, all it does is that they could have moved on from him anyway. There's not going to be any. I don't believe there's any dead money next year. So his contract wasn't guaranteed though after this year. So that's the thing. Like, they weren't going to bring him back anyway. It does take money off technically, but they could have also moved on from him at any point. I agree with that, because how do you manipulate your defense into looking like you have a good secondary? You have a good pass rush. Pass rush is everything. If you minimize the time a quarterback has to throw, it doesn't matter if your corners are terrible. Not saying the Rams corners are terrible. I mean, I think Jacoby Durant's great. Here's the real concern about the Rams is this. Like, at corner is this. Jacoby Durant looks like a star, but Jacoby Durant also got hurt twice. I am a little concerned by his durability. So you have that. Darion Kendrick did not look good at all. He continued to start. Robert Rochelle went from starting his rookie year as a guy who he has a high ceiling, low floor, to then he didn't even get on the field this year when all the injuries were occurring. That is concerning. Sean Jolly, we don't really know about. I mean, maybe he ends up being something. I don't know. But the corners I am not sold on. Not by a long shot. All right, here's the thing though with the Steelers, not the Steelers, the 49ers. Ready for this? I'm gonna look up their thing right now just to make sure that I'm reading it right. But they did just spend money on Charvarius Ward. They spent a lot of money on Charvarius Ward. Lenore isn't great. Ambry Thomas isn't great. Womack is okay. And then they added Isaiah Oliver this year. The pass rush, though, makes it a lot easier for them. Charvarius Ward is very good, and that's the thing. So you still need one really good corner. But like you're saying, and I get what you're saying, you need a pass rush. You need a pass rush. Nick Bosa helps. Having guys that can blitz, whether that's a Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, that helps. Having guys like Hargrave is going to help. Armstead is going to help. Farrell, you're banking on him being good. We'll see what ends up happening there. You draft Drake Jackson last year in the second round. You know, top 5 pass rushers that might be available for the Rams. And I'll start wrapping this thing up. But Will McDonald, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Keon White, Isaiah McGuire, and BJ Ojulari. That's my top 5. I said earlier, a little bit earlier. So at the end of the day, I think the Rams did wrong by Allen Robinson. I think they tried to make him a Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, have him run more of those in-breaking routes instead of going deep down the field. Personally, I think that they failed him. And at the end of the day, I mean, when you look, Stafford didn't have he wasn't on the same page with Robinson. He didn't have that synergy, that connection. Stafford was hurt all of training camp. So Robinson was getting those reps from John Wolford. Of course, when John Wolford took over, by the time he takes over, Allen Robinson got hurt. So we don't know what could have been. But what I will say is that the Rams could have used him more like how he was used in Chicago, how he was used in Jacksonville, how, the Lions with Stafford used Kenny Golladay. They used Marvin Jones. They used Calvin Johnson. They didn't use him like that. This is a guy, I kept saying, he diversifies your receiver room. Okay. He adds size. He adds that, the vertical ability, so to speak. He is an aggressive catcher. He goes up and plucks the ball out of the sky, catches it at his highest point, boxes out defenders like it's a power forward. So to me, that's what Allen Robinson was. To the Rams, he's just going to fill in for Robert Woods and he's going to be more expensive. I mean, it's not even hindsight. If we knew that if the Rams came out and said we're going to use him like Robert Woods the way they did, that move would have been just absolutely blown to smithereens by the fan base. Because everyone knows that's not how you use Allen Robinson. It made everything I said to try to make myself feel better, but also to try to give you guys analysis after it happened. It was all hogwash. Because I was saying the whole point you go out and get Allen Robinson, you move on from Robert Woods, is saying you have 3 of the same guys in the wide receiver room. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, they all play the same type of role. They're all versatile. They can all play inside, outside. They can all be route running technicians. They can all block. And then you add Allen Robinson, and I'm thinking, okay, you're diversifying the wide receiver room. You're going out, you're getting a guy, a deep ball, jump ball guy for Matthew Stafford. Except you used him like Robert Woods. So that begs the question, why didn't you just bring Robert Woods back? And I think that's the thing that, the fans definitely will ask themselves and probably say. And I think it's time, like the Rams definitely have to take ownership on this, and that's what they're doing. But this is an abject failure for the Rams. No doubt about it. It wasn't a good contract. It actually made no sense. You didn't get him on like a great deal or anything. The guy had 412 yards receiving the year prior with the Chicago Bears. It just, everyone knew like what Allen Robinson, what his skill set was. Even the social media team knew, because when the social media team posted Robinson highlights, they were posting his jump ball catches in the end zone, those contested catches, one-on-one, high pointing the football, taking it at its highest point, and bringing it down with it, right? That's what the social media team knew. But the Rams didn't even know how to use him, because how they wanted to use him is a guy that could help you in slants, could, get bubble screens and things like that. When did they use Allen Robinson over the top? They used a few end zone fades, but aside from that, they really didn't use him the way he's supposed to be used. Here's the thing. The Steelers, they'll know how to use him, because the way they use guys like George Pickens is how you can use a guy like Allen Robinson. So I think it makes a lot of sense as I conclude this live stream, and this has been awesome. I appreciate you guys for being here. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment before you head on out. But to conclude this live stream, the Steelers win this trade and the Rams win this trade, because the Rams, even if they get nothing in return, and yes, they failed. They did fail. Let's not lose track of that. They absolutely failed with Allen Robinson, but they win because they realize it's not a fit. Whether it's their fault it's not a fit or not, it's not a fit. It's not a fit. They didn't figure it out, so now they're moving it. Addition by subtraction. So that's a win in itself. We'll see what compensation they get, but that's a win. They also technically take his money off the books for 2024 and still have no, cap penalties in 2024. For the Steelers, it's a win because you have a veteran receiver that has a 1,400-yard season with Blake Bortles, who can play above the rim, who can go up and high point the football, who adds another dynamic to the Steelers' offense that can take guys like a George Pickens under his wing, and gives a young quarterback in Kenny Pickett a veteran receiver, a reliable receiver, a guy with vice grip hands, a guy that can, even if Kenny isn't, pinpoint accurate on a play, you can just be like, throw it, the whole meme, throw it up there. Allen Robinson will be there, somewhere down the field, and that's the thing. So I think this helps out the Steelers, and I think it helps out the Rams. I think the Steelers absolutely win because they're getting Allen Robinson for pennies. We'll see what they trade, but if the Rams don't get a good draft pick, the Steelers at the end of the day don't have to really give up much of their cap space for Allen Robinson. So quite honestly, this was perfect. This was perfect for the Steelers. For the Rams, they failed, and we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see what they do, how they replace Allen Robinson. If they already did, maybe they're saying, okay, Van Jefferson, you're going to take Allen Robinson's contract next year. They're gonna pay him. We don't know. Maybe they love it. I don't. For me, I don't know, because I could see a scenario where they trade Van Jefferson on draft night. Hey, we're not going to pay you. We'll trade you a contender. Get a 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, something like that. I could see it. But at the end of the day, I liked Allen Robinson. I thought he'd lead the league in receiving. I'm not offended or afraid to say that. I'm transparent on this channel. I'll throw out my bad takes just as much as I'll throw out my good ones. And I was wrong about Allen Robinson. I thought all the teams would be focusing on Cooper Kupp, and he'd get double teamed or triple teamed, and Allen Robinson would take advantage and lead the league in receiving. But I didn't think about how much of a factor Matthew Stafford being hurt all of training camp had on not developing a rapport, a synergy, a continuity with Allen Robinson. And I think that was ultimately what led to what happened and him having a down year. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to check out the other stuff on my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment as well. We're almost at 18,000 subscribers. We had about 12,000 less last year this time around, so we're growing like crazy, and I have to thank you for that. Also, be sure to check out Downtown Rams network. We're over 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to get monetized on that. And Cameron Lynch and I are going to have the second episode of our daily NFL show, Off the Edge, on the Believe Network dropping. So be sure to check that out later on today. We'll be talking about Saquon Barkley, whether or not the Giants should trade him. We'll be talking about whether or not it makes sense to trade for a DeAndre Hopkins and a Devin White, a Budda Baker, and a Dalvin Cook, or draft a player, as well as completely other stuff. So really excited about that. We'll have that out. But until next time, guys, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Do you need some energy to get through the day without relying on coffee? I got just the thing for you. It's called Neuro, and I'm partnering up with them for today's video. Neuro has gum and mints to energize, calm, and focus when you need it. They were developed by former athletes who were training at the highest level and simply didn't want to take any mysterious supplements or energy drinks when studying, training, or even going out. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean and balanced energy that could be taken anytime and anywhere. Their energy and focus formula is specially formulated with natural caffeine, theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. Their calm and clarity formula is expertly developed with GABA, vitamin D3, and L-theanine to optimize composure and clarity of mind. Their health and vitality formula is specially infused with life-enhancing, immune-boosting vitamins to help strengthen and support your body. What makes Neuro different? Neuro's gone through dozens of formulations, process, and tests to ensure that each gum and mint they make delivers on their promise of getting you in the right state at the right time. Unlike other heat-extruded gum and mints, Neuro's products are created using cold compression technology, which maintains each ingredient's bioavailability. Neuro is a clean boost of energy without the jitters of coffee or an energy drink. With so many challenges and demands, it can be really hard to stay focused, and Neuro does a great job of keeping you calm, cool, and collected. Stress, fatigue, lack of focus can all impact decision-making abilities. Recently, I had been feeling sluggish and have been distracted with everything going on in my life. These Neuro mints, however, have allowed me to stay on task and have stayed calm, cool, collected, as well as alert, and I've been able to change my approach and focus on the task at hand. Go to my sponsor link now down below, tryneurogum.com/JKB to enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.